Well, you guys have done a lot of good work, so I appreciate it. I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. The first thing I want to do without objection is to add an item to the agenda because I sent you a copy of the meeting minutes from December the 2nd, but I forgot to put that into the agenda for this meeting. So I'd like to put into the agenda now, consider and approve minutes from December the 2nd. And then ask if there are any, if there's no objection, are there any changes or amendments to those minutes?
I have looked at them.
If there are no comments or corrections, I need a motion to approve and a second.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second,
Raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay. It's 4-0. I still have not heard anything from Tom Flynn. So, all right.
something must be up. That's not like him to go quiet.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't been able to get hold of him.
Hmm.
Okay, we want to now go through the harbor management plan. I think John's already set up to go through more or less page by page, which is fine with me. So we're here on the introduction. I did see Tom's comment about properly referencing the Wellfleet Bay Sanctuary. I see in red that there's Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan. I don't know if we want to call it update. This is version 3. It's not an update, it's a completely new version. That's fine.
Where's that, under the introduction?
I
Yeah,
put it, if you look on the screen, I put it as a title.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to look at the screen. I'm going to look at my copy here. It's just easier for me to read the one that you revised, Laura. So just tell me where we're looking at.
So John, the one that was sent at like 10 o'clock last night has John's update in it.
Okay, so the one that says it's JD3LH, right?
Yep, that's what I
Okay,
got up
so
on the
that's what I'm
screen.
looking. That's what I'm looking at. So
Okay.
what are we talking about now?
I just added a title to it saying Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan. 'Cause I
Okay,
show the date and the,
this is the third harbor management plan. HFP.
should we say third edition or?
Well,
Or just put the date?
Why not just put the date? I mean, we didn't put second edition on the last one, did we?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Why don't we put Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan dash III for 3. And then
Where-
put December 2002 at the far right on the same line. That looks good.
All right, now I'm gonna have to go look at the screen. So I don't know what you're doing here. Hold on.
This is pretty small stuff, John. Don't sweat it.
All right, well, but I'm gonna let you guys do that. I would only say this is the third Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan, but you don't need to do that, being as it's in Wellfleet.
Could
That
we
makes
scroll?
sense.
I only had this through the introduction. We only just scroll through. I only had one other thing myself, and that comes right at the end.
So hang on, the Wellfleet Audubon Bay Sanctuary, is that the right name for it?
Mass Audubon Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary.
Mass Audubon
AUDU.
Audu.
Oh,
Audubon. There you go.
Audubon. My one comment came right at the end of this section, but if there's anything else along the line, sing
All
out.
right, I'll tell you what, as we go along, I'm gonna spell check page 1 here. So this is nitrogen under, it's the first arrow bullet point there. The comprehensive wastewater planning committee. This is telling me probably I have to put a hyphen in between wastewater. No, it's actually one word. So is wastewater one word, comprehensive wastewater planning committee, instead of two words?
The initials that the committee uses, John, are CWWPC, which
Wastewater.
implies to me
All
to
right.
think of it as 2 words.
Then we'll leave it the way it is. That's fine. Okay, now let me see. Herring River restoration, the project is in the midst of, didn't like that either. Okay, the
it's in the
project,
permitting process?
yeah, right below that. It's a Herring River restoration, right below nitrogen there. The project is in the midst of the permitting process. I think that sounds fine. It's just the project is, yeah, I don't know why it's telling me to change that. That's fine. Anything else on that page?
Laura, can you just go back to where we were?
Want me to say it midst of?
Yeah, I think that,
In the midst.
Yeah, so under Herring River restoration, the project is in the midst of the permitting process.
right.
It's saying that grammar isn't good. They're proposing I put during, which makes no sense at all.
They don't
Uh,
know.
The project is the project permitting
We're
process
gonna
is
get hung
on.
up on a lot of stuff here, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't think we need to change that. That's fine. I'm just gonna go down. That's the only, because I thought
It doesn't scream at us. I think most people who read it will be okay with it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, okay, I'm on to page 2 now. Just tell me where we're going here. And I'm gonna say,
Where
page
I'm
2.
going, John, is the last item on page 2, which is going to be in red.
Okay. I see it.
Energy
Okay.
Committee. I'm going to propose deleting this, but let me explain why. The Energy Committee it's now called the Energy and Climate Change Committee. It has done a fantastic job of helping the town reduce its carbon footprint. They're the people, for example, that have put the solar panels up at the transfer station. Got the funds for that. The thing is that and I've looked at their recent meeting notes. They're not concerned with conservation issues or with response to climate change issues. They seem to be focused just on the carbon footprint. And so while I think that that's a great piece of work, it's not consistent with this report. So I think we should just delete this.
So if they're the Energy and Climate Change Committee, does that mean we need to change the one above it too?
Why don't we call it a climate change? How do we?
Task force.
Yeah, but Laura's point is right. We have to clarify what it is we want this new committee to do. Climate change response committee.
You talking about the bullet point right above the red there?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think we just agreed to take the red out. So now Laura
so
says, well, this climate change committee, well, it does say, Laura, what we wanted to do.
But we're saying create one. So is that a separate entity?
That's a separate one. Maybe we want to say create a second climate change committee to
Dedic-
oversee and coordinate response to climate change and sea level rise.
Well, what's the first climate change
Energy,
committee?
because the energy committee says energy and climate, it's now the energy and climate change committee.
What do you think about dedicated?
Okay, well, then why don't we just spell it out totally? Why don't we just say, create a climate change committee in addition to the energy and climate change committee already in existence? I
Well,
mean,
that's
some-
why I said create a second.
All right. To augment the climate, I don't know.
It does, it's got to do lots of different things than the current energy committee does. I think just, I take out the second. I think it, given the discussion that's happened earlier in here, I think it's all right.
Okay, I gotta tell you, create a climate change committee. I think staff and citizens could go away too. I don't know why that's in there. Create a climate change committee. For, why is it in quotes? These are just questions. You eliminate the quotes, just say, create a climate change committee to oversee and coordinate response to climate change and sea level rise, period.
The reason is that I think it's very important. My view of this committee is it's very important that it has both staff and citizens. Because I think there need to be people like Hillary, like the Shellfish Constable, like the harbor master involved. Because you're gonna
Okay. I
you're
see what
gonna get into issues. I'll give you a really interesting thought that occurred to me in the middle of one night. We're talking about looking at the railroad dike in terms of helping to move harbor sediments from where they are now, causing a dredging problem up onto Duck Creek. We've recommended that. Well, and it occurred to me that another use of the railroad dike could be to create a barrier to excessive tidal flow further northeast in the town, and that might facilitate repairing or modifying roads like East Main Street. So there's a balance there between various harbor restoration projects and managing town assets like roads, or dealing even with people's houses. And so you need a broad-based committee to do this. And that's why the term broad base is in there. And I talk here about the Mayo Beach as an example of the sort of complicated issues that are going to come up.
So John, up in the bottom of page 1, after we first talk about climate change committee is warranted, I put a dash comprised of staff and citizens.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I was just gonna say
An
staff.
oversight committee or just a committee?
Well, I sort of don't like to over specify what we're asking the Board of Selectmen to do.
Okay.
So read it, Laura, what you've got there.
So down in the recommendations, it says create a climate change committee of staff and citizens to oversee and coordinate response to climate change and sea level rise.
Of staff, so you're just
Well, you
adding.
have oversee in there anyway, I see.
Yeah, we do.
So you don't need oversight.
Then up on the bottom of page 1, after climate change committee is warranted, I got rid of the quotes around it too. And then just said dash comprised of staff and citizens.
Comprised of, there you go, that makes sense. Sounds good. All right, I'm just gonna change mine. So getting rid of the quotes.
I'll send this back out to.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, you know what it is that I just want to be able to look and see what my computer's telling me is wrong with it.
Okay,
And, all right, I'm gonna believe that you got that one down, but I want to create a climate change committee. Read it one more
Better
time.
believe
Sorry
it.
about that.
oh, the bullet, create a climate change committee of staff and citizens to oversee and coordinate response to climate change and sea level rise.
Of staff and citizens, comma, to oversee and coordinate. Is that right?
I don't have a comment in it, but I can add one if
No,
you.
that's all right. We can get rid of the comma.
Maybe once
All right,
Laura
I'm just
gets this down, she could send it to you, John.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna read what I got. Create a climate change committee of staff and citizens to oversee and coordinate. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay, and we're getting rid of the red, all the red below
Yep, the
that.
red one's gone.
All right, I'm up to date.
Now we're into climate change itself. And the first thing I had in mind is there's a red thing.
Man.
You have to go down a bit. It talks about teal.
Yeah,
There it is. I was going to remove that.
What page?
page
It's
4.
on page 4, middle of page 4, upper middle of page 4. It's showing on
Okay.
my screen now.
So you want to get rid of that, or do you just want to
Yeah.
put a
No,
parent
I want to get rid of it.
about the reference?
No, I want to
All
get
right,
rid
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go back onto the screen so I can just watch what you guys are doing here. Hold on. And I think what I'll do is after this, I'll just go do this by myself.
All right, so delete the red.
Yeah. And the reason is, first of all, I think that this is
General enough
this is
statement.
fairly well known. And secondly, I have heard that while the principles in Teal's book are still there, there's a number of places in that I mean, he was early in the business. He made a number of misstatements. So
Hmm.
I think I'd rather not call on his work.
Of course, my computer's telling me it doesn't really fit there.
Yeah, all right.
And the only other place I had some comments was in the recommendations. Well, I had a couple of comments on page 7.
For some reason, my edition is not numbered.
Page 7 is the final page, Tom, in the climate change.
Down by recommendations now, or?
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. I could see where I wanted to make the comment here.
Okay,
The first one has to do, it's an interesting little problem that I just realized. It's the use of the word doctor in front of Seth Tuller's name, which is correct. The problem is that later in the report, I wrote in some comments by Amy Costa and Agnes Mittermeier without the doctor. Well, they're both PhDs, and I'm not sure about Owen. I'll have to check on him. So I felt back and forth what we should do, and I think that we should put the doctor in for everyone who's got a PhD. So when we get to Amy and Agnes, we should include that.
Doctor. All right, that's fine. I'm just gonna go down here and see
I'm
if you guys
surprised
have any.
Laura didn't notice that before. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, so this is, I'm gonna go back to page 3 just so that I can correct mine here and see what you guys think about it.
Okay,
This is a grammar thing, and they're just saying that instead of Wellfleet Harbor, we'll see right under chapter 1, climate change. Wellfleet Harbor will see a number of consequences. That doesn't sound bad. They're just saying replace those 3 words with 1. We'll see several consequences.
fine.
That sounds good. I think, I'm always for reducing words, and I think that's a good one right there. So
Principle, I agree with that.
I'm gonna say we'll see several consequences.
Mhm.
All right. We're done with that page. Now we're gonna go to page 3. Let me just make sure I'm done here.
I think that was 3, right?
You guys can keep talking. Those rest of the formatting thing, where are those hyperlinks? They're all good, so we're all happy with that. It doesn't like TTOR, which I understand. The trustee.
Never will.
Yeah, well, you know something? Trustees is one word. It really shouldn't be, unless you're calling it the trustees of reservations. Is that what the TT?
That's their formal, the TTOR is their formal, is the way they work, John. It's the trustees of reservation.
That's fine. That's what it stands for. All right. Should the be in capitals then?
That's the way they work.
Well, should we?
Yep, I just capped it.
Okay, there you go.
And I guess what I have to do is to go through this report, and I'll do this, and make sure that the first time we talk about the Center for Coastal Studies and the Mass Audubon and things like that, that we put the initials in the first time it's used in the report, and then we don't have to worry about it. So I'll double check that in the final version.
The other thing, John,
Okay,
is
here you
that
go. I got something here that's it's a typo. And maybe you changed this, Laura. I'm not seeing. So below this is on page 5. Are we on page 5 yet?
Sure.
There's an on twice. The work is.
Oh, I got it.
You okay? See that?
I got it before I saw it.
Okay.
what do you folks think about using SLR under the diagram? I think we all know it means sea level rise. I'm not sure that everyone else does.
What
Up
page is
here.
that?
That's right. You've got your clicker on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my clicker you can't see, unfortunately.
I think that, yeah, I think that's, maybe it's superfluous, but on the other
I think
hand,
that's good.
I think
Well, wait a
that's fine.
second. Wait a second. You got SLR somewhere? Where is it exactly?
In the footnote below the picture.
Not so much the footnote, it's the
The descriptor.
descriptor of the picture.
You know something? I also made a bunch of changes there too. You see where it says Middle Meadow, and then it's D, it's A, B, C, D, and it
Yeah.
says D gut. All right, so it's telling me that there needs to be a space in there, I think. Or maybe it's just not, just doesn't understand what that means.
Well, everyone
things-
calls it the gut, so maybe we should just call it the gut.
Well, I'm gonna, basically, there should be a space after A, A, B,
Yep, I
C.
put it in.
Okay, so E, that's what it is. E, Pleasant Bay, F, Nauset, they all need a space.
I
And
think
then what-
Nauset's is maybe spelling.
No, Nauset's fine.
Yeah.
That's the correct
And-
spelling.
No, I mean, I think the spell check doesn't know it's the right spell.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's not coming up. Where's SLR? I don't see where SLR is.
It was
She's
in
changed
the
it
first
already.
sentence.
estimate.
Oh, I see it. Did we write this paragraph or did somebody else write that paragraph?
Well, that's
I've
taken,
edited it, John.
that paragraph is taken directly from the formal report. So, but that's okay to clarify it. I don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind putting sea level rise in there. It never gets repeated in the whole document, right?
Yep, it's in there now.
Steve's not going to worry about that.
All right. That page looks good other than that. Okay. First, there will be an increase. So we're on to page 7 now, unless you guys got any other comments about something else.
Page 7 is the last one in this chapter.
All right, so first there will be an increase in freshwater flow. It probably wants a hyphen. Oh, no, they want freshwater to be one word. Freshwater flow, increase in freshwater flow, one word, freshwater. What do you think?
I'll leave that to you scholars.
I'll go either way.
I'm okay with fresh space water.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's leave that one. Okay, second, groundwater levels. There's this extra space in there, I think. Yeah, there was an extra
Really?
space where it's the second below that paragraph, second, comma, groundwater levels. There was an extra space in there. That's on page 7.
Yep.
Okay, report by child sewer. We're good there. We're good everywhere else. I'm strictly looking at spell checking here. And then my computer's telling me we're looking good on page 7. Okay, here we go.
Can I ask
Page,
a question on the resiliency program? Do we need more of a flow into it?
where's that?
Paragraph
Okay,
before.
I see, yeah, I see it.
Laura, the reason that that's such a short sentence is that we referred to it in chapter 1 as.
Okay,
Let's see, where is it?
Well, I agree. There's
On the
some,
front of page 1, it was called Coastal Resiliency Program.
oh,
So if we call this Coastal Resiliency Program, we're just, that's it,
Okay.
there we go.
thank you.
are we changing that to coastal resiliency program?
Yes, yeah. And that ties back to the initial recognition of this program. It's Provincetown, Truro, Wellfleet, Eastham. Hillary is on the committee representing Wellfleet. Turns out that Emily Beebe is on the committee representing Truro, but she used to be conservation agent in Wellfleet, so we got 2 votes. The recommendations, it was the thing that what I suggested was interchanging the order of the second and the fourth one.
One question I have is that are we making the same recommendations here as we are under the dredging report? Or
That's a good question.
I mean, it's fine to have it in both places, I think. You know, there's,
Oh, you know, here's part of the problem, Tom, and I'm glad you raised this up. The last bullet, what I had in mind there was some of the small marshes, like such as, for example, the one at the east end of Blackfish Creek.
mhm,
And earlier in this chapter it refers to those
Mhm.
smaller
Okay.
marshes.
sure.
And that's why this is different from item number 2. And I think the use of smaller in parentheses is good. And I don't think dredging task force is not part of this recommendation.
And
Yeah,
why,
okay, that clarifies it.
so are we getting rid of dredging task force? Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah, there.
Yeah,
you-
we also moved the bullet points order.
So
Two
yeah, so
were
what was
flipped.
the idea of that again? We're switching 2 with 4?
Well, item 4 is is the least recommendation. And it refers to something different than item what is now 2.
Well,
And
so
I had
tell me
a language change for item 2 once we've agreed on the order.
well, tell me what
Laura,
the
did you already switch those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, tell me, because I haven't switched it yet. Marshes, monitor,
so it goes monitor current and past growth rates.
yep, got it. Then it's,
Investigate ways to protect marshes.
okay, so that one you want to do as the second one,
Yep.
correct?
Gotta grab a cup of coffee.
Did you get me one?
Okay, so restore is going to number 4, is that right?
Yep.
Mhm. And we've inserted smaller in parentheses before marshes.
Oh man, all right, I'm having troubles with the formatting here. I'm just gonna leave it to you to do that for me.
Yep. What did you want to do on 2, John?
I wanted to say, investigate ways to protect and restore existing marshes. And instead of dredge spoils, I want to call it dredge sediments. Spoils is a natural word to talk about the stuff that gets dredged. But Agnes' work shows it's not nasty stuff, perfectly useful sediment. And so wherever it's possible, I wanted to use the word sediment rather than a spoil.
For some reason, I keep trying to move this with my mouse and it's not working.
All right. So just so I got climate change recommendations, the order is from 1 to 4 is monitor, second is support, third is investigate, and fourth is restore. Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
Yes,
All right.
Monitor, investigate, support, restore. Yep.
So investigate is number 2 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I just dropped those into the summary so they track.
Trying to do this. I'm not getting much luck with the arrows here, but we'll be good.
Dredging?
Okay.
What are all
I don't
these?
know why this chapter has caused me so much difficulty. Because conceptually, it's the simplest chapter. We've got some black custard. We've shown it's not harmful stuff. We said it belongs on the marshes of Duck and Mayo Creek. We proposed to send it there. End of story. And every time I read this chapter, I guess I better stop reading it. It gets complicated. So I tried to clarify in what I sent out last night, tried to clarify the flow of thought. And I hope I made it better and not worse.
Okay, sorry, I lost that. Where are we at now?
Chapter 2, dredging.
Okay,
And this, the change that I made last night, which I think is in this,
I tried to drop in what you sent. I think I got most of it right, but
you have right, and it's right after we stop talking about the Mittermeier. Well, first of all, we got to put a Dr. Agnes Mittermeier. Okay, good. Keep going. Laura, here's another change you can make.
holy,
Go to the paragraph which is just at the top, a terminology note.
yep,
After the parentheses, you have quote black custard.
yep.
Why don't you make that a new
Because then the graph
Paragraph.
goes to the next page. We got a huge, big gap is why I put it in there. I mean, I could put particle size, or let's see.
right there. I'm just saying that now indent it.
Yeah, the problem is we now have all that.
Oh, we have a big gap.
Yeah.
Gaps happen.
Now, maybe I can move the no toxic back up into there if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That
No,
fits actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
that looks,
works for me. So this is where I got a little,
Yeah, I know.
if it was right in terms of how it flowed. Again, we're calling them spoils here. Do you want to kind of interchange sediments or?
well, I think what you're talking about is what you're digging up, which is the spoils, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, bother. I had this worked out earlier.
all right, that's better.
Um,
What are we talking about now?
We're waiting for John.
John's looking at what he had written up, I guess.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Can we get to the bottom of the picture? Keep going, you're gonna keep going down.
This picture?
Yeah, yeah, but now go down below it, because I'm trying to see how this flows in. I think it's fine the way it is.
Down in thin layer placement, that paragraph, second option, is mentioned in the salt marsh chapter. Do we want to say climate change chapter or salt? marsh?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. Also, you see,
Do you want salt marsh discussion or climate change chapter?
climate change chapter. Or just say chapter 2.
Yeah,
And Laura, just above the paragraph, just above it, it refers to G. Geis. It's Graham
Yep.
Geis. He's a doctor too. So for consistency.
Should his full name be there? You know, it's Dr. Seth Tuller. It's not Dr. S. Tuller.
Yeah, Graham. That's fine. Good.
What about et al? Is that the proper way to? It's not liking that.
Well,
that
there are
period,
those-
I mean,
AL.
is that what it is?
It's ET period, I think.
yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. That's what. So you see the red lines under Geist there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they don't like the spelling.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure it's showing up on yours too.
Yep, yep.
All right, because I had to go away from mine somehow, some way. My spell check started giving me French words and proper English words with OUR, and I'm like, I don't know what happened there, but
I mean,
How did
mine's
it
telling me to
Ivy-
capitalize North Channel, but it's not the North Channel they're thinking about, so.
that's fine too. I don't care. Yeah, that makes sense.
I before E except after C. What? Anyway.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
there's another one too. I corrected a lot of culching versus clutching. I mean, it does not like culch. So anywhere that there's culch, you got to pay attention to that just to make sure it's correct.
When we get done with all this, how do we get rid of these little squiggly underlines?
They go away. Once you change it to a PDF, it should all go away.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
They didn't like chipmunks either.
right.
German is interesting. Geise, G-E-I-S-E, is pronounced Geise. If it was G-I-E-S-E-B,
Geese.
Geisa, something like that.
That is the way you spell Chipman's Cove with an apostrophe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I had. I mean, it was enough, but that's all I had on dredging. And I apologize. I won't do it again.
All right, shellfishing.
I have nothing.
Much of what's with that, all that stuff right there, much of what NRAB didn't like that. Much of what NRAB could contribute to this discussion was
Remember,
already,
Seth Tuller report went sort of organization by organization in town, the Conservation Commission, the Shellfish Advisory Board, NRAB, and had a list of recommended actions. And all I'm saying is that's a useful list and we'll pay attention to it.
I think it's okay, John.
Yeah, it's the
I
wrong
think it's
sentences.
just,
That whole thing, beginning with much and ending with
yeah, it's blue.
introduction. Yeah.
I
it's
tried to
just-
fool with it and couldn't get it to go away. So
Yeah, I think it's just a
roll with
round
it.
sentence. That's all right. That's fine. It reads good.
let's see, I misplaced. No, that's all right. I misplaced.
Shellfish are basically,
Yeah, what's that? Why didn't I like that? What happens when you right click on that?
No, it's good.
uh,
There's a lot of funky spacing that it's underlining too, which I've checked, and I think it's just the way there is actually only one space between, but
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know why it doesn't like that. But it looks good to me.
I don't know, basically, I mean, maybe they wanted something more like shellfish
Laura,
are
what do you-
predominantly, or
consist of, mostly of, or
it's saying basically.
basically is fine.
That's cool.
Start to nitpick here a little.
No, we're good.
Yeah,
I just figure that it's telling us something, so you might as well at least listen to it before you say, forget it.
do you need is again in that phrase? I mean, we've already mentioned it, but you could say genetic diversity is needed,
Well, there you go. That reads good.
Okay.
even though we've already mentioned it. Re-emphasizes it, I guess.
What's with the shoreline is dominated by revetments. What could possibly be wrong with that?
It may not,
Alright.
especially there, it might. When shoreline is dominated by revetments,
Yeah, I think maybe especially isn't needed. What do you think?
doesn't like is dominated, but too bad.
Huh.
I don't know what's gonna boil
I don't
that
know.
building on.
Is the shoreline, when the shoreline is dominated by revetments? Okay.
Anybody been over to Lieutenant Island lately? It's nothing
No,
but
why?
revetments.
Yeah, well, there are revetments in all sorts of places, but I don't know if they're dominated by revetments. But that's okay. I'm fine with that.
It is on the bay side of Lieutenant Island.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I was thinking particularly the south of, I was thinking the south of Indian Neck, from Omaha Road down to.
How about this? How about this? Instead of saying when, how about saying where? Where the shoreline is
That's
dominated
better,
by.
yeah. It's not a time, it's a place. Good.
Yeah, that's good, John.
No, it doesn't like the whole thing. I still think it reads better.
Yeah. All right. Still giving you the squigglies.
I don't know where the shoreline. I mean, see. I actually think when might be better
When the shoreline is dominated by, wow.
because that increases the sea level rise. Sea level rise is happening whether they're in there or not, right? It's just how it shakes out.
Yeah. Back
Well,
to
this-
when,
this-
John?
Yeah, the spell check light did better for whatever reason, so that's fine. I don't care. How about if the shoreline is dominated? Well, all right.
Yeah,
Well, I think sea level rise is going to lead to deeper average tidal depths, whether the revetments there or not. We're just saying the revetments don't let,
But no, there's an important distinction, Laura. If your inland is a gradual slope, as sea level rises, you still get that beach effect.
right,
Sharp revetment
versus a wall.
versus a wall, you lose that, and you end up, instead of having some tidal flats, you have a pond. So there's a big difference.
So is it
Between the-
a local impact then that we need to be?
Another, we referred earlier in this report to the work the Conservation Commission is doing on, which is going to come up before town meeting, I am told, to protect gradual shorelines. So that if you've got a gradual shoreline, people won't be able to put a gradual shoreline in front of a marsh, people won't be able to put a revetment on it. I think John,
Okay.
it's fine the way it is. Just take what, or Laura, take what you just wrote out.
How about this too? Instead of saying when the shoreline is dominated by revetments, it's just an odd way to start a sentence. How about in areas where the shoreline is dominated by revetments?
How about just saying as the shoreline is dominated by revetments? That may be too British.
Yeah, in here, it's just where the shoreline is dominated. Because we're just basically talking about those, that's what we're talking about, those areas, right?
Only those areas.
Right, then that makes sense.
Okay,
I
we
think
move
we
on?
got, yeah,
we have another thought.
no. On our expected, can we back up a little, Laura? Whoa. Not all changes are expected to be harmful. Everybody okay with that? Oh, not all changes are necessarily harmful,
Or we just could
yeah,
say will be.
that's fine. That's fine. I think it's fine.
How about important topics to be addressed? Apart from climate change, there were several.
Mm.
How about just saying there are several other important topics to address? I didn't mean to get rid of everything else, just change that last part of it there. And not to be it, there's some other topics.
Sorry, what were you, I didn't get that.
Okay, go back to eliminate those changes you just made there. Okay. Okay, it's just where it says there are several, instead of saying there are several other, now I can't see it. Where did it go? Okay. Important
Oh, that-
topics. Okay, instead of saying important topics to be addressed, how about just saying other important topics to address?
Omit the several. Yeah,
Apart from climate change, there
Well,
are other, you're right, there are other important topics to address.
Well, it's not apart from climate change, though, because upland water runoff is related to climate change, that should probably go in front of that. That should be moved in front of the apart. We say apart from climate change, or I say apart from climate change, and then immediately we talk again about climate change.
There are other important, okay. Let's read the whole thing. New species, not all changes are expected to be harmful.
No, it's not.
I think rainfall
How
is
about,
one word.
okay.
Hmm?
If what you're saying is, because there's a column there, how about just saying some other important topics to be addressed? Some. How's that?
Well, I'm going back, John, to the start of the first page of this chapter, and under it leads, there are 5 bullet points, and the 5th one starts out increased precipitation, follows new species. So I think upland water runoff, which is due to increased, should, yeah, pull this other important off right now.
You can turn it off.
Okay.
Oh, that wasn't me.
And then after, go back down to where we just were, if we could
Patient, okay.
try to. Upland water, inner harbor, let's see how this flows, inner harbor. So we're moving around.
So new
So-
species should probably go with bay scallops, right?
Well, wait a minute, let's see here, you're about 3 steps ahead of me.
So I was suggesting we take the upland water runoff and the inner harbor, because that has to do with water runoff, right? And put increased participation,
Precipitation, yeah.
station, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to go back and look at how the page had them set up. Warmer waters, acidic harbor, sea level rise, new species, increase, okay.
So increased precipitation. Let's just go to,
Where are the bay scallops fit in?
They're down here. They should probably go up with the new species.
yep. And just increase precipitation, just, okay, that's good. And remove the bold thing, upland water runoff. Because immediately, we talk immediately about what's happening there.
You want it out or just unbolded?
Out is my suggestion.
You're a good editor, Laura.
And then, okay, so we have climate change predicts. And then we have all of these effects. All of these effects should come after water quality. Good. Now we talk about the shellfish resources, the plastics, the shellfish reefs. Those are some other issues in addition, or something to that effect.
What's the shellfish one down here? Reefs, okay. Okay, that works better. All right, and bay scallops is tucked up under new species.
Right. Not a new species, but it's
Actually, go back a little bit lower. Bay scallops is a. It's okay. Bay scallops is a very profitable business. How about are a very profitable business? I don't know. Bay scallops.
I think is correct.
Yeah, I guess just bay scallops is a very profitable business.
Harvesting bay scallops?
Something to, yeah.
and I think we can take the heavy words bay scallops out, because this harvesting bay scallops follows right from the end of the previous sentence.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so I think our headers track better with the order of the,
Yeah.
You know, where it says in the 1995 harbor plan, do we want to insert that hyperlink there so that they can just look at that, or is it just?
We've given that hyperlink earlier in the.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should, for consistency and, you know, and because you're identifying it. So if you call it the same thing and just put the hyperlink in there, you know, cut that hyperlink out from above, copy it from above and put it in there, the 1995 Harbor
Okay,
Management
that's fine.
Plan.
I don't mind putting.
It's just, it's an addition that just keeps it fluid, you know? Because you're referring to it, maybe somebody wants to click it, maybe they don't.
One of the things I wanted to do is, when we get to a final version, is to go through each of the hyperlinks and make sure that they work.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think I did I mean, they should. Some of the ones, if you try to make a hyperlink that's got like the little arrow in front of it, it doesn't work. So anyways,
The ones from the seashore with Steve Smith and all that, I checked on some of those earlier and they worked fine.
Will they continue to work if we switch this over to a PDF?
yeah, they will. And you know, that's easy to do. There's not that many of them. The bottom line is once you click on the link, as long as it's something opens up, it's going to be the right thing. So you're done checking it, you know?
I have found once or twice something didn't open up, so I just cut and paste it. That always worked too.
All right, go up a little bit. Impact from increased pollution, water. Okay. Oh, the 1995 harbor plan. Are we going to change that or leave it the way it is?
Well, why don't you make a note there to add the link?
Yeah, you can do that, or if you want, if you go up to where the link is. Are you working on a Mac or a Windows PC?
Windows. Still.
Yeah, so when you go up with the very top where it says 1995 Harbor Management Plan, if you right click on it and just say copy hyperlink. Now you should be able to just scroll down and paste it over that thing. Get rid of, now you have to get rid of the.
Yeah, I'm working on
Yeah,
it.
there you go. All right. You could probably get rid of the comma there too. In the 1995 Harbor Management Plan, results of an experiment.
Yeah, it doesn't need a comma. You're right. Well done. Can we get now below increased precipitation?
Mhm.
And then at the end of the increased precipitation, this is where we get into some additional issues. This is the monitoring the resources, plastics, shellfish reefs, and recommendations. So we should, just before harbor shellfish resources, we should have a bold header that says other issues or something to that effect. Other issues to consider, I think, if you bold.
All right, well, I'm not sure I'm crazy about, because that last sentence right above that ends with these issues is needed.
Well, that refers to these issues above.
So
To the
my
issues.
thing is, I don't like repeating things real quickly like that, like issues. Well, anyways, I just
Above
let me read
issues.
it. Other items to consider.
Items is good, yeah.
Mm.
With a colon after consider. Okay.
I keep grabbing my mouse to scroll down. Plastics. Wellfleet shit doesn't like shellfish.
Shell fisherman?
Nah, it's nothing wrong with shellfishers. It's a term. You probably add it to the dictionary. Well,
Not as hard as culch. Sure, most people have never heard of the word.
is there an extra space in there after products, period? This has not been right before this.
Whole point of this paragraph on plastics is just to support what the Shellfish Advisory Board's doing. So I think we do that.
Okay, that reads good to me.
Mm.
And then the recommendations. The last recommendation is about the shellfish management plan. The way our charter reads is that it currently reads is that we're supposed to be in charge of the review and updating of the shellfish management plan also. And we've talked, and we'll have to address later that that's probably outdated because the Shellfish Advisory Board has taken some major steps forward over the past 20 years. Marine resources. The first thing under red, I think we include this. I have not been able to get much good data. So I think when we talk about this later on as a specific item, we're going to just have to say it's something we're going to deal with in the future.
I'll tell you the reason, I'll tell you where I got all the economics. A lot of that stuff is available from DMF. You just have to get it. There's a guy there, Eric Druskat, they're doing so much stuff to do with COVID right now that he was unable to help me the last time I wanted it. But there's all those numbers when it comes to shellfishing, and Nancy knows them.
Yes, I think shellfishing is actually going to be easier, but then, and the harbor master has a report too that we can dig into sometime.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's,
sent an email to Becky and about revenue from her recreation work, and that turns out to be very hard to get at revenues.
can you
Get
scroll up,
lots of
man?
budget information on expenses, but hard to get it on revenue. So we have to do work on that.
Laura, can you scroll up a page?
We went by the red culchings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I was
keep-
just doing a little
Yeah, that's all right. Can you
consistency.
just, there was something I
formatting.
noticed there. Keep going. All right, now I forget what I was looking at. All right.
I have something on
It
the
was down
harbor.
at the bottom. It was clearly not done. There was something about much more that I was wondering. Okay,
Much more extensive water quality testing.
yeah, I don't know about much more extent. How about just get rid of the, yeah, there you go.
I want to make some.
Dr. Amy?
How about you can get rid of the more too? You can just say extensive water quality testing is ongoing.
Well, that's where Amy Costa, yeah.
Okay, that's better.
I have something to add under harbor morphology,
Okay,
several things. First of all, talks about the original report. I would say the original Curley report.
Why don't you go ahead and cut and paste that again, the hyperlink from the top.
I mean, we say it here, we say them there,
Yeah, you don't have to. It's just, you know,
It sounds like, it's close enough down the page that
that's fine. I'm
it
not
would seem
worried
like you
about
don't
it.
need to double it up.
Okay.
And then, let's see, a more detailed study of the benthic harbor habitat was issued in 2019 by the Center for Coastal Studies, under the direction of Dr. Mark Borelli. B.O. Borelli. Period. Okay. I'd just like to give him
got it.
credit. Finfish stations. 9 finfish stations and it says map attached. Well, I went and looked at the map. It's not a very interesting map, so I propose to, as long as people know that the finfish stations were established, that's fine. And then under Owen Nichols, I will find out if he's a PhD candidate. If he is, it'll be Dr. Owen Nichols. If he's got a PhD, he'll be Dr. Owen Nichols.
You want me to Google them right now?
Sure. Or you can go to the Center for Coastal Studies, their staff list. They make the distinction there.
Okay, under Finfish, where it says data was taken monthly, it doesn't like that. How about data was collected monthly?
That's better. Yeah.
PhD.
He is. Well, it's Dr. Owen Nichols.
And
And
the
then,
doctor is in.
yep. He's got a PhD. That's what he is. And then up above, John suggested that under the first sentence, his data was,
PhD candidate at the University of Massachusetts School for Marine Science and Technology.
PhD.
but that's it.
candidate or?
Yeah, it's a difference. A couple of years of hard work and a interview.
You should call them up, say, are you a doctor or what?
I can find out. I'll double check this on the Center for Coastal Studies website.
There's
Do we
an
want to say
Owen
Data
Nichols.
was,
Okay, I also think, so let's go back up to Finfish again here, whenever you're
you want to say
ready.
data was taken? I think you said collected, John.
Yeah, that's true too, but I'm just also thinking that, so we're talking about Finfish, and this is about the Curly report. We don't need to say that again, right? In the original report, 9 fish, in the original report, from the original Curly report, 9 Finfish stations were established. And you can get rid of the 1968.
Well, they were, stations were actually, well, that's not important.
Mm.
Data was collected monthly or
Yeah,
taken?
data was collected monthly.
Yeah, I think collected is better than taken. Then we go down, my next comment, it comes after marsh vegetation.
You want me to make culching black font now?
Yeah,
That'd be a capital C under coaching,
only if it starts a sentence.
because
Which it does.
right by the arrow there. Coaching.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, after marsh vegetation is where harbor economics would go. It's something entirely new, Laura. And just say we will include most recent numbers. We're talking about economics, so I think numbers is better. From the Shellfish Department,
How about available from?
Harbor Master, and Recreation Department.
Can we put available after numbers?
Yeah.
No,
Actually,
after numbers.
if you want to get really tricky,
No,
we wouldn't
no.
use any numbers
How
from
about
2020.
available after numbers?
Yeah, available should go after numbers.
Or do you need it at all?
Just
Harbor
so you all
economics.
understand,
Yeah.
I would not use any numbers from 2020. They would be totally messed up.
Mhm.
Well, then we shouldn't say the most recent number, actually, because 1990, no, yeah. 2019 is the most recent numbers I know that Nancy has right now, obviously. And I don't know when she'll have the 2020
We can
numbers
put the
anyway.
most recent numbers, then parentheses, accepting 2020.
Yeah, you're probably gonna want to say accepting 2021 too, if we're not done with this by then, but
Well, I think that if we accept the 2020, that
Makes a point.
makes the point, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to supplement those, or,
Just not doing, we're just gonna ignore them. We're gonna be total mess.
Be meaningless numbers.
right, are we putting 2019 in?
Well, we don't know when we're gonna get this done. We may not get this done until a year from now, in which case we'd have the 2021 data.
Oh,
yeah, 2021 date is not gonna be any better unless a miracle happens. You know, I think we're still gonna be under this for the early part of next year.
Well, isn't that what we voted for?
okay.
A miracle?
Yeah,
It'll be done in 100 days. Let's hope.
Yeah, right.
Rots of ruck.
They have to unchain Trump from the White House first.
Probably shouldn't get into a political discussion here.
Yeah.
It's all right. The military hates him. He'll go.
Back to topics, guys.
Mm.
So then we just have to clean up summary of recommendations and talk about,
well, hold on, let's go about other harbor monitoring. There's something funny going on with diamondback terrapins, horseshoe crabs, and then there's a space between the colon there, which has got to go. And then Mass Audubon, all in one word. Are we changing that to the Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary? Or is it Mass Audubon we're talking about?
I think,
that's fine the way Laura just wrote it.
yeah,
Mass Audubon? Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary.
yeah, there's a wildlife in there after Bay.
Mass Audubon Wellfleet Wildlife.
Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. WBWS.
So yeah, you could do WBWS if you wanted to change it way up above when we originally referred to it. But otherwise, you should really just call it the Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary and get rid of Mass
Right.
Audubon.
Yeah, you can get rid of the Audubon. That's good. So we get down to the recommendations then.
Yep, that's it.
Do you want to say anything about, involving the Center for Coastal Studies here, or is that,
No, what the intention here, Tom, is that we'll pull information from lots of different sources,
yeah,
but we're taking the responsibility, at least of leading how we put this report together. Maybe we'll need
Okay.
some help when the time comes. Laura, can we do the summary of recommendations later. We've already talked about what they are. It's just a question of some cut and paste.
I updated the ones from climate change earlier.
Oh, okay. We're already there, maybe.
I think we're there.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yike.
Hello. What's the name of the book? Okay. Okay, I'll tell it.
Go back to where it just said, Laura, there was a title there from December of 2020. Was that the very beginning we're looking at?
Sorry, I got into other stuff.
Right, if you can just open it up when you get a chance.
Ah, what did I just do? I mean,
Okay,
completion date, right?
is that the first page of our
Yep.
version? I didn't realize that it said that at the very beginning of it. Wellfleet Harbor
We added
Management.
it at the beginning.
Does all that need to be there? That bold, everything in bold there?
I think we should put a title on it.
Is
I guess.
introduction,
I mean,
is the word
technically,
introduction necessary? I don't know. Maybe.
this is going to be an online presentation here, so I guess you could leave it the way that it is.
I think you need a date on it.
Well, do we want to say December 2020, or are we going to be done with it this month, or are we going to be going into next month?
Going to be done with it this month.
All right.
Or at least I are going to be done with it this month.
Well, why are we calling it the 2021 plan then? Well, I guess that was just the way we were saving it in the as a
Look,
reference.
Laura, maybe I can help here. What I propose is that we need to have a the first page of this should be on NRAB stationery, which John has, and it says Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan and a date and our names.
All right, so why don't we get rid of that Wellfleet Harbor Management Plan, and then why don't we just put a whole front page, just like it is in the Curley report? So it'll be on letterhead, something that says Wellfleet Natural Resources Advisory Board,
Right.
December 2020, make it an official title page.
And lists our names.
All right, how about this? How about if I copy it right from the way that the Curley report looks like? Except for you won't have any of the stuff in there about, obviously, the part of, from Mass DMF.
Where's the Curley report?
Font size is huge, seems.
What the
I'm
Curley
thinking-
report is it says this, the study of marine resources lists the names of the people and has a letterhead and a date.
All right, well, I can play around with that if you want and come up with something that looks nice.
Well, why don't, done.
All right.
Hmm.
The other thing we have to, the last thing we have to talk, well, first of all, I think we have now just approved our harbor management plan. And so I would like a motion that the committee has approved the harbor management plan and recommends how does starting the process to issue the report publicly. And the first step has, I think, should be to submit it to the Board of Selectmen for discussion and approval. 'Cause they,
Right, so it's still a draft plan until the select board says yes. Is that the idea?
yes. That's important, yes. So I need some better language for the vote that we need to take.
So because we didn't, you know, it's been approved, but we still don't have a cover, like it hasn't been okay.
I
So
think our
here's what I
current
propose.
draft should be finalized with the cover by John.
Yeah, I propose that we finalize it with a cover, turned into a PDF document for submission to the select board. And so do we need to have another meeting once that's done? Or is that the kind of thing we can circulate around amongst ourselves to approve?
I think what we have done today is agree on the content, which is the important thing. We agreed on, I hope, two things. One is the content, and the second is that the next step is to submit it to the Board of Selectmen for discussion and approval.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I would make that motion then, if we're waiting for that.
There, I'll second that emotion. I'll second that motion.
Second that emotion.
Yeah.
Anyone write down what?
Yeah, right. All right.
So we motion. Approve.
All right, how about this? I make a motion to approve the 2021 harbor management plan
Approve the draft of the
to
2020.
be a draft. I make a motion to approve the 2021 draft harbor management plan to be prepared for submission to the select board as a PDF document.
Approve.
It's not a very good motion.
Second
How
and
about some-
approve, yeah.
Say it.
Force. We could keep it simple. We approve the draft of the 2021 harbor management for submission to the select board.
Done.
Sounds good.
Seconded.
All in favor? Round of applause to everybody.
Hard work.
All right, so am I tasked with putting
I'll send it to you all shortly.
okay, so you're gonna send me a Word document. I'm gonna basically just prepare some simple from
Cover
NRAB,
page.
call it what it's called, and you guys tell me if you like it. I'll turn it into a PDF.
Sounds good.
Good.
Now, the last thing is I would like to, in submitting this to the Board of Selectmen, have a brief cover letter. And what I wanted to include in this cover letter is, first of all, the reasons for a shorter, more focused report. And we had we had discussed two reasons for that. One is that we've got a lot of ongoing work. So we don't need to go back into that ongoing work. And let's see, what was the? And because we don't need to go back into that. Oh, the other thing is we thought that the 2006 harbor management plan was too long and had too many recommendations. So we wanted a more focused report.
So what, you were looking to put that language in a cover letter?
Cover letter.
Then just put it something simple, just like that. You know, one of our goals in this report was to make the recommendations more concise.
Yes, because we thought there were too many in 2006, and since I was involved in that, that's pointing the pistol at me. The other thing that's different is this is an online format. And the advantage of the online format is we can link to references, which means that makes them much more available to the average reader than trying to look up documents. And because it's an online format, it's easy to modify or change. If we look at this 2 years from now and say, well, we want to amend this, we can do it. And the other thing is that we welcome any feedback from the select board and look forward to the opportunity to review this plan with them at their earliest convenience. If we agree with all that content, I'll draft something up and we can just look at it by mail.
I'm gonna do the same thing with the final document. I'll just circulate it to our board and you can all comment for any editing changes.
Sounds good.
So I guess the motion would be that the board chairman, myself, draft a cover letter to the select board as we have discussed.
Is that a motion from you, John, or?
I'm hoping for a motion since I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think I can make a motion for myself.
I will propose that motion then as you stated it.
Second. All in,
All in favor, aye.
It's easy. That should be an easy vote. You're just asking me to do something. So, there's no one here from the public. Courtney, are you still here?
I'm here.
she fell
Nope,
asleep.
it's just us on. Nobody else is here.
Good for you.
Yeah. But
Sorry, Courtney.
you heard our discussion of how we wanted to approach the Board of Selectmen. Is that make sense? Is that legitimate?
I didn't really hear anything and I'm out in 5 days. So anything after today, you got to talk to Rebecca Eldridge.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can just say that sounds good.
I mean, I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. Next meeting, as far as I know, will be in 2021. To be determined. Thank you all for your help. Best of holidays. Happy New Year.
You too, John.
Okay,
Thanks,
stay
John.
healthy, everybody.
All
Yeah.
right. And we'll see you next year.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Everyone is running away.